First of all, I'd like to welcome you all here tonight, and for the climbers that participated in the climb earlier on today, thanks very much for coming along, and thanks to all the family members, the crew, and all the people that were involved in the Reek Challenge from the word go. Maybe just a little recap how it all started. I suppose it's been ongoing for about, say, over a year and a half ago since we came up with the idea. And I think it took PJ Hall to give us all a little kick in the butt to get off the ground and get it off the ground, or to get it going again. And we met PJ at the 7-day challenge in 2000, in the winter of 2010. And he said, well, you're going to have to go with this record. Now at the time, the only record was just to break 9 climbs off the Reek. And that got obviously pushed up quite a bit over the course of a few months. So it went from 9 climbs to 12. But in the meantime, Morgan McHugh got involved, and he did a bit of investigation and went into the world records and found out that maybe we could go for the most amount of meters climbed and descended in one day in a 24-hour period. So that was the world record we actually ended up looking to try and break. And then there was a little bit more investigation put into it, and we kind of compared the amount of meters we climbed versus Mount Everest. And there's that little photo over there, or that little drawing, and that's drawn to scale. As you can see, Padraig, it's like a little pimple beside Mount Everest. But when you climb it 12 times, we actually go over the height of Mount Everest. So that puts it into scale, gives you an idea of what was achieved on July 1st and July 2nd, 2011. So, furthermore, I suppose all the training days that went into it was training days for 3 climbs. That was way back in February. Then we had climbs for 6, climbs for 8. And from the very start, there was about 33 people that was involved in the whole process. 33 people put their names forward. And on the day, 15 climbers started, which was quite a considerable amount. The dropout rate wasn't huge, but the training put in the 5 months prior to it was pretty savage, to say the least. And if you look at the background, you could nearly call it a bunch of misfits. Like there's broken down footballers, not mentioning any clubs or anything, they're probably there somewhere. Broken down runners, broken down cyclists, I include myself in that, and soccer players, not sure really any other type of sports people, but venture racers. So we weren't really from a climbing background per se, but we were from a sporting background. And we actually had a world champion at a tryout, Chris Miskey, who was the world champion in the World Touring Car. So having the likes of him come on and try out on the first day, that was good. That added a little bit of spice to the whole thing. And he really struggled on the day, and he was climbing with sticks, and he had all the gear and all the rest, and it kind of put it into perspective. For other people that tried on the day, there was a few people that were very close to the limit all the way through on the training days. And when it came to the crunch on the day, they met it, which I was really, really surprised at. So, kind of going back to the old application, we made an application to the Guinness Book of World Records for the most amount of vertical feet climbed and descended in the one day. And in fairness to Morgan McHugh put a lot of effort into all of this. So, Morgan, thanks for all the effort. This is when Chris Harris got on board, and I've been involved with Chris before with the likes of the mask. We swam Loch Mask a few years ago, and that's kind of been ongoing since. But Chris said, well, why don't you do it for a charity, do it for a good organisation? And Chris is involved with the Mountain Rescue, and he's also involved with the Red Cross, who also support the Curb Mass lifeboat. So we said, right, why not get these involved? Because we were doing it anyway, so we might as well do it for an organisation. So we ended up doing it for the 2 charities, the Red Cross and the Mayo Mountain Rescue, and they're going to be the beneficiaries for the proceeds tonight. Kind of going through all the bits and pieces. I suppose Campbells Pub became a focus for the whole event. The training days, you come down into Campbells and you come in here and you discuss over a bowl of soup. Sometimes it was black soup, but we discussed over the soup, and it was what the whole thing was going to involve and what we needed and what the base camp was going to take, and it was kind of ongoing. And it kind of built into a kind of a little event as regards like a little gale force, in that it was going on over 24 hours. Anyone, if they wanted, they could come out and climb with the climbers. And I'd say in the process, over the full 24 hours, I'd say there was over 100 people that were involved that actually climbed once or more. And it was good. It was a big event. As regards organisation, I suppose it took up a lot of time. And I think the biggest thing that was involved with it was actually the application to the Guinness Book of Records. It had to be so detailed. Now, Rob Coyne did a huge amount of work in that actual map is just one of about 10 pages that was drawn up. They did a full survey on the rig. They measured every single metre from the start point right to the finish, around the church and back down. The exact route we were going to take. And it had to be measured very specifically for a Guinness Book of Records to recognise it. It had to be an engineer's report and had to be signed off on. So it wasn't just a case of where you go, climb the rig, and you're going to get a Guinness Book of Records. It wasn't that simple. Eamon Kane later on might maybe go into a little bit of detail of what's involved when you do these records. They wanted a lot of details. They wanted photos, they wanted videos, they wanted measurements, they wanted maps. They wanted a lot. And that's what we gave them. Now, it took us about 3 months to get all this together, but we got it all together and it worked really well. I suppose without an event like this cannot go ahead without sponsors, and the sponsors were a lot. So I'm going to name them out, and I'd like to thank them all again for being involved, because without their help it would have cost a lot of money to put this on, and it didn't really cost a lot of money. So Port West, they sponsored us tops, and they also sponsored jackets and shoes. Cara Boyle sponsored us food, Super Value sponsored us food, Mars Island sponsored us food and rice and other little goodies. ATF sponsors a lot of water. Connecticut sponsored us energy product. Domac Plant in Roscommon sponsored the lights. We needed light for base camp. The timing was supplied by Multisports Ireland. Minerals and More Water was sponsored by Claddagh Minerals. Carabake Store sponsored More Food, and McGrath's Waste sponsored the rubbish bins, but they also used the bins for ice that we needed for trying to help the mussels to recover afterwards and during. So again, a big thanks to all these sponsors, because without these sponsors the whole event could not go ahead.